Hi, everybody. Josh Felperin here at Alps Controls. Thank you so much for joining us here today for our first Solution Series event of the year. We're really excited to share with you Optigo Networks. And today we've got the co-founder and CTO, Ping Yao, on with us to introduce you to what could help you with uploading and downloading some information on your BACnet systems around the country. And end of the day, we set out last year to uncover some innovations in our industry. As we all know, there's a lot of new stuff and new products and solutions out there. But we saw a lot of opportunity in Optigo Networks to bring value to you so you can bring value to your customers. So I'm going to introduce Ping Yao to come on and give you guys an overview of Visual BACnet, one of their newer solutions, and how it can help increase revenues and save you some time and money. So, Ping, without further ado, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks to the whole Alps team for having us. Pleasure being here. We'll go through a quick slide deck, a demo of our product. But before we do that, again, my name is Ping. I am one of the co-founders and CTO of Optigo Networks. It's a pleasure to be here. A little background about Optigo. We are a Canadian-based company. We are based out of Vancouver, Canada. We have a team all over US and Canada to help Alps and you. We are a networking company. We have network switches and routers and software to manage your network. So if you need to deploy a system with, let's say, more than 5 switches, give Josh, give the Alps team a call. We'll help you with the design, the IP network that you need to connect all your controllers, your VAVs, all these things. But we also have this product called Visual BACnet, which we'll dive into today. We've been in business for about 11 years. And Visual BACnet, a quick story, we kind of fell into it by accident. We had been offering switches and routers to the industry for a few years. And then we were helping our customers just, understand why the system wasn't working quite right. And we were running things like Wireshark and hearing complaints from their IT team about broadcast and hearing our customers talk about Whois and IAM and BBMDs. And that's when we dove into better understanding how BACnet systems are connected and how they communicate. And so we found quickly that BACnet is our standard protocol in this industry. It's a fantastic protocol, but it's also very prone to errors. And so we developed this software to help our customers, better understand how things are communicating, how things work, but really in the end, be able to help you drive your business, increasing your profit margin, and hopefully increase revenue. So we'll go into that today. Again, Visual BACnet is a monitoring and troubleshooting software for BACnet systems. In short, we look at all the packets, all the frames are sent back and forth between your server and all the other connected devices to try to understand what may be causing slowdowns, performance problems, conflicts. Why are things going online and offline? Why is my IT team complaining that I'm sending too many broadcasts? Why is it that when I add this vendor or this product, this building goes offline? That's in short what we do. Again, I promise I will give a quick live demo, but before we do that, next slide, please. We'll look at how can Visual BACnet help you. First and foremost, we developed this product to help elevate the knowledge of everyone in the industry. We want to help you and your team get in and out of jobs faster. So it's Friday, 4 o'clock, you want to get home, but things aren't working quite right. Instead of trying this and trying that, maybe I'll try to change the software and the firmware version on this controller. Maybe it will work better. Can I use a software? Can I use a tool to identify where problems may be and realize that maybe, hey, I have too many, my poll rate is too high, and that's causing my BACnet router to slow down. Therefore, I can change my poll rate from 5 seconds to 15 seconds. And voila, I get home for dinner and in time for the football game. That's the basic principle of Visual BACnet. How else can you use it? Today, we really want to talk about using Visual BACnet to enhance your maintenance and service contracts. We strongly believe that the industry is starting to really understand the importance of healthy network. We believe that Visual BACnet can be a tool to help you provide to your customer a visibility into the health of the network, using that to say, you know what, we'll come in once a month and give you a report on how things are going. If you're lucky, for 12 months, nothing changed and everything is very healthy. But our customers will go in and change programs. They'll change a schedule, add some polling, add some trend logs, or very, very commonly, they'll add a energy analytics, some kind of analytics software, and now things do not work properly. Be able to enhance a service contract by saying, you know what, I'll sell you for a few $100s a month, a few $100s a year, this added service of network health. Visual BACnet can be that tool to help you drive those reports. Next one is, how often do you walk into a customer, you want to win their business, they say, great, we have these other vendors, can you come in and do this change? Can you add in these things? We like to do this project. And then finding out after you start the work that you just walked into a landmine. Their system was not working properly. And now what you thought would be a 20-hour work ends up being hundreds of hours, and you're now losing money. Your customer is unhappy. You're not able to win them as a new customer. Use Visual BACnet to get a sense of how things are before you walk in. Fourth bullet here, network commissioning. Before you hand off the keys, give them a report. Know that not just your HVAC system is commissioned and your building automation system is commissioned, but your network, that's the underlying foundation of your system, is also commissioned, that everything works properly. Last but not least, you have a 1-year warranty. On days 364, the customer comes back and says, hey, we want you to change this and fix that and fix this. How do you show that, these things are outside warranty because you as a customer went and made some changes? How can we show that, we'll share that cost. You added these things, and yes, we could have done things a little differently and better. Use this product to help you better cover the warranty period. So let's go right into the product, show you what it does, how you use it. I'll share my screen now. Let me see here. All right. So Visual BACnet is a SaaS product. It's online. We'll talk about how to get the data after I show you what you can do with the data. The data comes in the format what we'll call PCAP file. It's the same format that's the output of Wireshark for those who are familiar with it. There's a lot of different vendors out there that can already create these PCAP files, these packet capture, packet sniffing files. Using this file, you can then upload it to Visual BACnet. So I have an account here. I've set up a site. I'm going to call it Alps demo today. And let's say I walk into a customer and I want to get a sense of what this site looks like. I'm going to set this up. And now I'm just going to go and drag and drop a file that I have for us just to show you live. I'm going to drag and drop the file. It's a PCAP file. It gets uploaded. It'll be queued for a couple of seconds. It will process it. While we're waiting for this, you see how in my setup here, I have multiple sites. So you as a system integrator, you may have 50 sites that you're working on every year. You can add these different sites, and using that, you can go and add the different servers, the MSTP networks that you have on there, and it will generate these reports for you. It gives you a device list. This is live, real time. You're wondering, can I use device ID 10? Well, no, it's already used, and it's used by this device here. Let's just go back to this. It should have processed it. Great. I have a fantastic score, 39%. That is not good. The example I always give, if your son or daughter came home with 39% on their math test, you wouldn't be very happy. You may not know if they are struggling with addition or subtraction or differential equations, whatever it is, but you know that they aren't passing. Same concept here. You don't need to go any further to know that we have a problem here. By the way, this capture, before even diving into, already showed me that this site has identified 2,121 BACnet device it has 132 networks. For those who are technical here, this basically means that you have 131 MSTP networks, likely. They could be ArcNet, they could be MSTP, they could be BACnet over Ethernet, they could even be LAN networks that gets routed over BACnet. Again, that device list is here for you. You can look through it. The last time was seen on network, you can export that. You can use that as part of a commissioning report if you wanted to. All right, let's dive into what is this 39%. How do we use this to help our customers get a system that is working better? Everything is centered around this score. There's a lot of details we're not going to dive into, but here are some of the checks that we do. We can help you identify duplicate networks. Do you have two BACnet routers that are using the same network number? If you do, that's a big problem. That's when your customer is saying, why is this building going offline and online and offline, back and forth, back and forth? This could be one of the reasons for it. Duplicate instance number, duplicate device ID, duplicate BBMD. Those who are working a lot with BACnet IP, you know that BBMD is the Achilles heel of BACnet IP. Very, very important. But if you set it up incorrectly, you're creating these broadcast storms. Let's look at what this could mean for us. Okay, so check number 10 tells us that we have response time. We're sending one request. It's taking up to 7 seconds for that request to be responded. Good news is that it does get responded. It is coming back, but it's taking 7 seconds to come back. This is when your customers complain, why are things so slow? You click on the graphic, you're waiting 10 minutes, and maybe if you're lucky, it loads. If you're unlucky, part of it loads, part of it doesn't load. So here's an example. Let's see what this could mean for us. Okay, so me as a system integrator, I'm going to go in, I ran this report, and I'm going to go to the customer and say, you know what? This network 16051 that's routed by this BACnet router 1050.51.5 is exhibiting a lot of slowness. You know what? It didn't used to be like that a year ago. It's degraded. We recommend now either we can go and remove some of the traffic that will improve the performance, or, hey, by the way, I have my vendor, my OEM vendor has this new BACnet router, higher performance. We don't need to change anything. Would you like to upgrade this BACnet router? You just made a sale. Customer says, you know what? Yes, that makes sense. I see it black on white that I have slowness. You're right. It didn't used to be like that. We've added some more strain. We've added analytics. We've added some devices. Whatever the reason is, things are now slower. We can go and try to reduce the amount of traffic. That's a lot of work. Or, you know what? I have this new BACnet controller. It has 4 times the processing power. That's a quick fix. $1,000. Let's go install it. And install it. It takes a couple of hours, a few hours, and then you rerun Visual BACnet and confirm that now this performance has improved significantly. There are a lot more checks. We're, again, not going to go into all the details. One thing I want to show you also is you can generate this PDF. Use this PDF to go and work with your customer. Oh, sorry. I realized this might not show. Let me just fix this. Use this PDF and say, you know, I recommend we upgrade router A, reduce broadcast traffic. And this is, 20 hours of work. This is 10 hours of work. Whatever the recommendations are, provide those to your customer. And the customer may say, I don't have the budget to do everything, but you know what? I really want to do that upgrade of the router. Here's 10 more hours that you didn't have before. Use this to drive new revenue and uncover things that you didn't see before. Finally, I just want to leave you with that all this can be shared with others. I can come here, I can say, you know what? I'm going to share this with others. You can see here, I shared it with my team at Optigo so we can do demos. I could share it with Josh. I send Josh an email. He will get an invitation to Visual BACnet. He signs up for a free account, and now he has access to this information. Share amongst your team, enable those who are working from home to contribute to those who are working in the field, and drive a business that's more profitable. Again, there's a lot more details. We can go into a lot more here. If you do sign up for this, the Alps team and the Optigo team will help you with training, onboarding, and everything. I encourage all of you to reach out to Josh and his team to set up a more in-depth discussion. But in general, this gives you an idea of what Visual BACnet is and how you can use this at your business to make your team more effective and generate new revenue. Thank you. Josh, back to you.
Wow. All right, Ping, thank you for the quick overview on Visual BACnet. I know there's a ton of use cases. There's a lot of power behind this tool, and implementing it, is a whole different ball game. But I want to open up now for Q&A and see, invite Alan to come out and let us know if there's any questions.
Already have a handful in there waiting for us. So let's get to those. Here's one. Let's see. I used Visual BACnet at a previous company, but only for troubleshooting here and there. Do you have any tips on how we could sell the continuous monitoring to our clients?
That's a great question. I will admit that 5 years ago, the understanding of network health was not really a topic amongst our customers. Your customers, right? End customers. I think that in the last 5 years, there's been a really growing understanding by your customers, the end users, that a healthy network is essential to these systems. So I'm answering that question by saying that I think the world has evolved. Now going to these customers and saying, you know what? Do you want to have a better understanding how these things work? Let's do either monitoring. We'll set it up to be 24/7. We'll alert you when we see something drop out, when we see something change, or if that's not what you want, we'll give you a report on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, whatever it is. I think the understanding that a healthy network is essential to a healthy system has really, really grown in the last few years. And so I encourage you to, if that conversation didn't work 5 years ago, that conversation will work today. Great question.
We have another question here. Is Optigo a subscription or license purchase? That's from Fred Stenger. Wants to know that.
Thank you, Fred. It is a subscription. It's a little extensive in terms of pricing model. And again, this is where your team at Alps will help you. You subscribe to the platform and then you buy a license for the site you want to use for the length of time. So again, I encourage you to reach out to Josh and his team. We'll set up a more in-depth conversation on how to buy it, how these prices work. But in short, it is a subscription-based software.
Okay, we have a question from Chad Ketcher. Would like to know why Visual BACnet instead of Wireshark?
Good question.
Great. Yeah, awesome question. I think if I remember correctly, that's Fred. Thank you, Fred. Wireshark, first of all, is a fantastic software. It's been around since the 80s. It originally started as a product called Ethereal. It's the standard product that all IT professionals use. We still use it. Sometimes we'll go in and we'll use it. But it'd be like asking my mom to do her taxes using Excel. It's very difficult. It's a lot of work. Even pros in Wireshark, and I consider myself one of the pro, without Visual BACnet, I would be asking myself a question one at a time. What is my broadcast level like? Okay, I'll enter the filters, I'll look at the information, and okay, well, my broadcast is not the problem. Do I have a duplicate network? Okay, I'll filter it, I'll export it, bring it to Excel, count it. I don't have a duplicate network. So I would ask myself the questions that I can think of one by one, spending hours on each of them. Visual BACnet will give you a one quick glance at all of it all at once. So instead of bringing into Wireshark and then filtering it and looking through it to look for the different things, if you're lucky, the first question you asked answered why your system is slow or is unresponsive or has some stability issues. If you're unlucky, you may spend days and days and days to finally find a problem. So again, Visual BACnet will help you cut through all that noise, find you the insight that you can present. But also, I would say, very often people say, well, it's because it's more graphical. I can better understand the information. Hopefully that answers the question. A great question. Thank you for that.
Okay, we have a question from Sam Afkami. I hope I'm saying that right, Sam. Is there a way to show device ID, device name, device brand, device model, etc., so that we can quickly see where to look instead of trying to remember the IP address or device ID?
Yes, yes, and yes. So that device browser, that device tab I showed you earlier, it will have the device ID, so the instance number. It will have the vendor number. It will have the device name as discovered by BACnet. That's not always available. It depends if, first of all, you set it up and if it was discovered on the network. By the way, as a trick, if you're going to run Visual BACnet for a scan, you want to generate a report, you want to do an audit, run it on your server and run a discovery on the server, right? Whatever front end you're using, whether it's Tritium, it doesn't really matter, right? Run a discovery. It will go out and reach out to all the devices, and it will also read the status of every device. And most of the time will come back with the name, the device name that's programmed in. That will be brought into Visual BACnet into one tab. You can export that. Firmware version, model name are also available in a special version. So again, we can go through that in depth. And last but not least, we do have a field that's user defined called device alias. So instead of you remembering that device 12075 is the VAV that's causing me problem, you can change it to VAV that's causing me problem. And then so when you see it in those diagnostics I was showing you, instead of showing you that device ID, it will show you the device ID, and in parentheses, it will give you the device name that you entered as an alias. So we have some users that will use that to say, this is building A, this is building B. And so when they're looking through what are devices that are dropping packets, instead of having to remember how to map a number, whether it's an IP address or Ethernet address or device ID, it will give you that alias that you entered. And that's user configurable.
Right. And hey, bro, piggybacking off that, Ping, is a lot of the early adopters and current users of Visual BACnet, are they using that as a best practice for retrofit opportunities to really go in and quickly understand what they're getting involved with?
Yeah, very often. Thank you, Josh. You know, the number of times we hear customers saying, my customer assured me we have 1,000 device, and they walk in, they have 4,000 device, 2,000 of them they had never heard of. It's some old system, and now the work is 10 times as big. Right. Even just getting that database, getting that snapshot, I'm sure I speak for all of you. When you go and ask them, do you have a list of devices? 9 out of 10 don't have it. Those that do have is out of date. Being able to use that, and by the way, as a trick again, those who are familiar with Yabe, a free software, run Yabe on your laptop, run Visual BACnet capture on it. You'll get all the devices, and right there from that, in 1 hour work, you can get a full list of devices and at least guide you in your quoting process and your estimation process, and at least setting the bar at the right level of you in that conversation, that business conversation.
Okay, we have a bunch more questions here. This one is not so much a question, but maybe a recommendation. It says, it comes from Joe Sikora, and it says, we have just installed Visual BACnet for our campus about 3 weeks ago with an average network health of 42%. Had a few devices drop offline over the weekend, and the health jumped up to 82%. Gives me a lead on which devices are causing health issues.
Yeah, that's a good example, Joe. I'd love to see that one, by the way. So please maybe reach out to me directly. We'll look at that. I mean, the best way is to just go side by side, right? Look at before the score jump and not. We'll be able to look at what caused it. Sometimes because when devices go offline, it's causing less traffic on network. So Visual BACnet will see it as, hey, things are nice and fast now. But I get that in that example, we should have seen that the devices just went offline. That's why the score went up. So that's good question. We are always doing improvements to our software. So I'll take that as a feature request on thinking about how we can frame that score to reflect past knowledge. Thank you, Joe.
Okay, we have a question from Tyler Dooley. He says, is there currently a Niagara 4 module that can be used to add a Visual BACnet monitoring service to a station? If not, are there any future plans for one?
Let me work backwards. Yes, we are. We actually just this morning I was in a meeting. We are putting the final touch on an agreement to get a driver developed to do exactly what you're saying. However, there is a feature available today by Tritium, developed by Tritium in their library called BACnet Util, called Wiretap. Wiretap is a way to redirect BACnet traffic from any BACnet interface on a Tritium station, Niagara station, sorry, to an external IP address. So for example, if you're running an MSTP trunk network on a JACE and you want to get that BACnet traffic off of it, you can use this wiretap feature to redirect the packets outside. So go from MSTP to IP, capture it, and then you can load that into Visual BACnet. That is one possibility. In fact, I think I might have one example here, but why don't I do this? If you want to leave your contact info, I'll make sure that someone at Alps will follow up with you on a article we have on how to use Wiretap with Visual BACnet.
Yeah, Ping, we'll have a post-event survey coming out, so that would be great. And or you can reach out to anybody at Alps Controls. We'll make sure we get you that information. I took a note on it as well.
Yeah. So again, sorry, long-winded answer. Yes, there's already a function called Wiretap. Look into it. There is an article. If you go through Optigo support portal, you can search Wiretap. It will give you an article there. But again, I recommend you just reach out to the Alps team. We'll set up a call and help set it up, actually. Yeah. There are some limitations in it, but it's a good start.
Okay, we have, let's see, a pair of questions going back to the subscription model.
Yep.
Harold Collier would like to know, can I buy it as a tool, not a subscription? And Sam Efkami again is asking, I am assuming subscription model is for us as the system integrator. Can you let me know if the model is per month, per building, or per device? Or how does the pricing work?
Okay. Again, for the details, I strongly recommend you reach out to Alps. They'll work out the details of pricing, everything with you. There is no one-time buy option of Optigo Visual BACnet, unfortunately. So for Harold's question, and for Sam again, the pricing is per device based on the length of time. So you can get 1,000 device for that site for 1 month, for example. And by the way, it doesn't have to be very expensive. I will explain just one quick note. It is our objective, my personal objective as CTO, to deliver a product to help everyone in this industry at least understand how things are working. We are a for-profit business. Of course, we are looking to make money, but to help you get that snapshot, understand what am I getting into? Is this worth it to run Visual BACnet monitoring long-term? That snapshot, that first month of work, you're going in for 1 week of work, that can be a few dollars. Okay, so it's not very much. Reach out to Josh and his team again. We have some great flexibility in our pricing plans on how to set that up. Yeah.
Thank you, Ping.
Great. Okay. Chad Ketcher has submitted another question. He'd like to know, assuming we assign this to a fairly capable tech, what is the expected learning curve? How long before we can realistically deploy it?
Yeah. In fact, I will correct that question. We're really hoping that anyone who's working with BACnet systems can get value out of this. Okay. So I'll give you a real life example. A junior technician's been on the job for a few months. Teach them how to set up and get the data. They may not be able to log in and read at a busy router and therefore what I do about it, but get them, they're the ones in the field, get them to get the data and tell them you're not allowed to leave the job until we hit a 75% score, for example. They may not be able to do all the work to get to 75%, but at least they can be your hands and eyes and ears on the field to do that. Then you bring in a a more senior technician to look at the data and say, okay, longest response time is going through that router. Oh, I know what that is. That's this router. And yes, you know what? We have a lot of trend logs running on it. We have a complex controls program sequence running off on chiller. You know what? Let's split off this BACnet routing function from the programming and sequencing function. We'll pull it off and then have this junior tech again do the work. So to answer your question again, the ramp up time, we recommend the onboarding. It takes about an hour. We'll go through the diagnostics, how to set it up, how to read it, where to get help. And then truthfully, if you use it about twice, right, you have a problem. Your customer A is complaining that their light's not turning on, not turning off. This, room is always hot, always, whatever it is, use it, dive into it. Maybe 1 week, you'll go through it, look at that, try this thing. Is Visual BACnet helping me there? So the onboarding session, an hour and a half, and then truly getting to a point where you're comfortable with it, use it twice. So 3 days here, 3 days there, and you'll be an expert in it.
Okay, great. We have some more here. Here's a question. Will BACnet SC impact this product or the workflow to benefit from this product?
Yes, BACnet SC, first of all, outside of Visual BACnet conversation, BACnet SC will impact all of us, right? Tremendously. We're not going to go into that conversation. BACnet SC is still possible to use, but you will need to find a diagnostic or decryption function in the hub, right? So we are working with basically every vendor out there, collaborating on how to bring network monitoring and diagnostics to BACnet SC. A few of the vendors already have beta versions of this solution, but in short, yes, it is possible. Basically, you have to get a temporary decryption key that you pair with Visual BACnet. It will decrypt the data so that you can analyze it without breaking the principle of BACnet SC, which is encryption and authentication. Yeah. Again, if you want more detail, let me know. BACnet SC is a very important thing for our industry, and we're all keeping a very close eye on it.
Okay, Sam Haddad would like to know, do we have to connect our networks to the cloud in order to use this system, or does it work on the premises?
It does not have to be connected to the cloud. So it is a complicated answer, but first of all, if you have a very security conscious customer, pharma, governmental, financial, whatever it is, and not only can you not connect our system to the cloud, you can't even take data out of our system. There is an on-premise version of Visual BACnet. It is more expensive, I'll be very honest, but it is an on-premise version. About 10% of our customers are those type of customers, governmental, financial, pharma, and they are using an on-premise version of Visual BACnet. It works exactly the same. We just set up Visual BACnet on-premise in their server. But if your customer is like, I don't want my system connected, but I do give you permission to copy files off of it to analyze it, then you can still get the data, move it onto your laptop, and then upload it. Again, a large majority of our customers will do that. In fact, we even have the ability, say you put it on a Raspberry Pi, run a capture, and then when you disconnect the Raspberry Pi, as soon as it has connection to the cloud, it will automatically upload, for example. Hopefully that answers your question. It is a multifaceted answer because there are many different situations here.
How do you get PCAP files into the system? Can this be automated?
Yeah, great question. So I mentioned PCAP. I apologize, I forgot to mention exactly how to get it. PCAP, by the way, is just a format. Okay, it's a standard format. It's the output of Wireshark. To be more exact, for the geeks out here, is the output of libpcap. Win10 PCAP is a core library, is an open source, very, very well used in the industry by millions and millions of people. It is standard in the IT tool set. The most basic, most fundamental way of doing it, we help our customers, is on day one, when you get Visual BACnet, go and install Optical Capture Tool. It's a companion software free of charge, install on the servers. So it doesn't really matter what servers you're using. Install it there. It's always going to be Windows-based. If it's not Windows-based, let me know. I'd be curious to hear. But it's a Windows-based. Install this capture tool. It will automate it. It will give you four things. One, it will automate the capture of BACnet and only BACnet traffic, so you don't run into the risk of capturing sensitive information. So it's filtering the data down to BACnet. It creates a schedule. You want to capture on Mondays at 8 a.m., Tuesdays at 4 p.m., or you want to capture every hour for an hour, nonstop, 24/7 capture. You can set that up. Third, it will automatically upload the data to Visual BACnet, assuming it has connection to the cloud, of course. And then number four, it will also manage your local storage. So once there's a successful upload to the cloud, it will delete the local copy so that you don't run into a case where you're just taking up all the disk space on your server. Actually, there's also a limit. The capture tool will rotate through the files if it exceeds a certain amount. So hopefully that answers the question. You can also use Wireshark. Those who are familiar with Wireshark, run Wireshark on your laptop, on your server, on your whatever you want. Get that data. That's a PCAP file, and then you can upload it. But again, for those who are not familiar with it, we recommend during onboarding, we'll get you to set up the optical capture tool onto your server or servers.
We have a question. Is there a demo version for us to try?
Yes, there is. Yes. There's a free demo version. And again, I recommend we go into for in-depth. In fact, we have a version that allows you to free of charge get an early audit without giving you away the farm, right? Like we'll tell you if it's 39% or if it's 80%. If you run it and it's 80%, Visual BACnet didn't uncover any problem. If you have a problem, it's probably your internet connection, for example. It has nothing to do with your BACnet network, right? But if you run it free of charge and it shows you 39%, then you're like, you know what, Mr. Customer, for $400, we can use Visual BACnet for the next 2 months. Is this something you want to spend? Oh yeah, you know what? That's an easy one. Okay, great. Then you can enable it, and only at that point you spend money on it.
Okay, we have a question. Is there a built-in BACnet Explorer in this software?
A smart person who asked that question. No, I would love that. It is on the roadmap. It is not available at this moment. Whoever asked that question, you're down the right path. Visual BACnet is entirely passive. So we don't add any data to your network, which means it gives you a real true representation of your network health, right? We don't add anything. We don't poll anything. We don't go to routers and ask it its routing table. We don't go to BBMDs and ask its BBMD distribution table. We don't add any strain in the network, but it also means that we can't go and supplement the information that we are getting. But great question. It is on the roadmap. It is not yet available.
Okay, here's a question. We just have a couple more, looks like. We often can't get a complete list of devices installed. Can Visual BACnet help with that? Yes,
as I said earlier, depending on the complexity of the setup, like if you have multiple UDP port, or are you segregating by subnet and all this stuff. But yes, in general, Visual BACnet is a great tool to get that device list. I showed it earlier. We can show it again if you want. A very simple way: get your team, your customer to give you one port, bring a laptop. Use this product called Yabe, and again, if it's a free tool, look it up, YABE, and then run Wireshark or the optical capture tool. And while you're there doing a discovery of the system, you should be able to see everything. And then that process will allow Visual BACnet to see all the devices, bring into Visual BACnet, and then you can export it in nice, beautiful CSV. Yeah.
Okay. We have a couple more questions in the queue, but it looks like they're ones that have been covered by other questions so far. If not, please let me know. Or let Josh know afterwards, and we'll make sure the question gets answered. Here's one that did not get answered yet, and it's less about optical networks and more about Alps controls for some reason. Harold Collier back again wants to know, will Alps controls be at AHR next week?
We will. I'll take that one, Ping. No. Yeah, we will be out at AHR. There's about 17 out of 47. I saw the numbers the other day, so Yeah, we'll have a big crew of folks out there, and looking forward to connecting with everybody in Atlanta, whoever will be there. I know Ping and Cameron, I believe, will be there as well. So if you want a quick Ping, you will have a booth.
No, we don't have a booth.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, if anyone wants to meet up, we can definitely meet at Alps booth. My schedule is pretty packed. Tuesday I have some free time, but yeah. And unfortunately, I leave Tuesday night. I'm there for this BACnet standard committee, if you're wondering. But yeah, I'll definitely be passing by the Alps control booth. And if anyone here really wants to meet, we can set up some time, and I'll make sure that I'm there for it.
Yeah, same here. So, Alan, I think we could wrap it up.
We sure can. I'll let everybody know that the Q&A panel will remain open for about another 30 minutes or so. So if you get off of this session and the best question in the world pops back into your mind, go back on there and ask it, and I will make sure that Josh and Ping get your questions and follow up with you on an answer. And thanks very much for attending. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Ping, thank you very, very much. I think we did what we wanted to do and just give everybody an idea of what all the fuss is about Visual BACnet and how they can utilize it in their everyday lives and try to save some time and money and get on and off the job quicker. So thank you very, very much for your time today. Looking forward to seeing you next week. And then, yeah, just to close up, as you saw in the registration, we will be doing a live drawing here this week for 3 lucky winners. Will be winning Yeti coolers sponsored by Optigo Networks. So it's going to be bigger than that mug, Ping. But hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and hope to see most of you in Atlanta next week. Take care. Thank you, Ping.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.